This sounds like anyone could just put these things on, make people think that they are a safe space, and then take advantage of that. Is no one else hearing this? That's what it sounds like to me.
Why am I dancing with that trans person?
We'll watch another video telling allies what to do. Yeah, so Leah Passaniti, I watched her before. I can't shake the feeling it's just another one of those radical, hard left trans channels. And they're all saying the same stuff, but hey, I want to be proven wrong. Because, come to some quite harsh conclusions about some trans people. I'd rather be wrong about that stuff. I'd rather not say that kind of shit. But yeah, 5 tips for allies of the LGBTQA plus community on how to be helpful in the next 4 years. Let's have a look.
Why, hello there. Welcome to this video. My name is Leah, and today we are going to be talking about something that has been requested heavily in my comment section. I got a lot of comments in my 5 Harsh Truths video essentially saying, hello, I'm an ally. I would like to support the community better. I would like to be a better ally, but I don't exactly...
What are my tips for allies? Just be a good friend to your trans friends. Don't be an aggressive piece of shit. Don't take one narrative from the trans community, run with it, and hate on everyone that says otherwise. That isn't support. That's just being a cultist freak. But hey, let's see what this person thinks. Maybe they'll indirectly call out people like Alex Gunter, who I have a problem with.
Exactly know how to do that. Can you help me? And so that's why I am crafting this video today. Today, we are going to be talking about 5 tips for allies of the LGBTQ community, what you can do to be a more effective ally and help us, especially in these trying times. So with no further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into...
Yeah, the woman face thing. I think that if there was a more defined line as to what is crossed that makes it woman face, I think that would help, personally.
To the first tip. Tip number 1 is educating yourself on hot button issues. So what's a hot button issue? That's something that comes up frequently. That's something that people talk about a lot. That is viewed as controversial. It's viewed as sort of like the front lines of the culture war, if that makes sense. So this would be things like trans people participating in sports, the bathroom issue, gender affirming care for minors,
all these war terms, ally, front lines, it's pretty performative. This is what I mean. I worry about all these over-radicalized, far-left trans channels that keep popping up. But hey, I gotta listen. Gender critical's put an overemphasis on how much our differences are sex-based. Sex is important, but so is gender, is what I mean. Well, yeah, but I mean, sex goes through gender, you know what I mean? Like, it's derived from it. Like, we can't really uncouple, like, sex and gender. We can try, but is it even a meaningful thing to do so? Like, I don't know. And it certainly shouldn't be like a rights movement or something, in my opinion.
These are things that are viewed as hot button topics for most people in the society that we live in. Most people have very little actual inherent knowledge on these topics. I would say that most people have like a Facebook level
inherent knowledge
level of understanding on each of these subjects, where like maybe they know a little bit about the trans bathroom thing, but only through the lens of like what they've seen on Facebook, like things that people have shared. I hate to be the bearer of bad news for anyone that may not be aware, but Facebook is not exactly a great place to get your information. And if you're only exposure to...
This person has recommended Erin Reed. I wouldn't put too much stock into what they think is a good or bad source for information about trans issues. That's not to say I think Facebook is good. It's not. But we're not necessarily going to get given better examples, you know?
These hot button issues is through like memes or through like people talking about it online, then you very likely do not have enough information. Thankfully, we live in...
I don't personally care about my so-called trans allies, if we're calling them that, having enough information about like the bathroom ban. Why not just befriend trans people? Why not just be there for them? Why not just offer an empathetic shoulder. Isn't that more important?
In an age where information is actually pretty easy to access if you are in the right place and looking for it. So make sure that you are opening yourself to good sources of information. Now, obviously, I'm going to recommend that you listen to people in the community on these issues.
Nope, hard pass. Listen, so many trans people are so incredibly over-radicalized that they simply can't be trusted on their own issues. And this kind of mentality is how you excuse people like Alec Gunter, who listen to certain kinds of trans people and then end up with complete batshit opinions about trans stuff. Often very ignorant opinions, because he's assuming that trans rights and everything to do with trans is how his friends are saying it is, when they think the same way that he does. What he actually wants is to push his own fucking opinion. And how is that trans allyship? Friend and ally are completely different things. Yes, but if you want to be a good ally to trans people, be a good friend to them. That's what I think. I think much else is honestly a bit unrealistic and sometimes misguided.
Have to deal with things like bathroom bans, with things like the sports issue. Like, there are tons of great content creators online that have made videos about these things, about these topics, talking
like the marriage you, for example.
About, you know, the nuance and what it all means and why you can't both sides these issues and stuff like that.
Why you can't both sides these issues? I mean, you shouldn't both sides trans women in women's sports, because that's to say that males are just able to be in with women now. This is like, there's a correct opinion that we're hinting at here, and that is not good. This is not good so far.
And actually, I also am planning on making videos about each of these hot button issues specifically. Like, I plan on making a video about the bathroom topic, about the sports topic, about the gender affirming care for minors topic. I plan on making videos specifically about these issues so that I can help propagate good information and hopefully educate some allies in the—
What do we mean by good information? Ally might be someone who, okay, I don't think you know what trans ally means. It's not the same as like your country having an ally that has different like values to you, but whatever.
In the process, I would say that you need to be so knowledgeable about these specific topics that you could teach about them to any particular—
No, this is not helpful. This is not helpful at all. Especially because what this person considers a good news source of information is like some scaremongering fuck like Aaron Reed.
particular age group, any level of understanding. Like, if you wanted to teach it to someone on a very deep level, someone who's receptive, then you can do that. You can give them, you know, you can teach them beyond the Facebook level of understanding and help them understand on a deeper level why certain things may be really unfair to both sides, you know, that kind of thing. There's a saying that, like, if you want to be really, really good at something and know something really well, you need to be able to teach it to someone else. And I think that's super true, especially with topics like these. If you would not feel comfortable explaining the whole thing in detail to someone and teaching to them about it, then you do not have enough information. And just to close—
Oh my God. This is really cringe.
close out point number one here, you want to make sure that you are aware of the real world examples that people—
Well, they want so-called cis people to like stick up for trans people. But that's not what, like, most of us don't even want that, you know?
tend to go to when do they talk about these issues. For instance, you may want to talk about the sports issue, and then you may need to know about some of these particular incidents that people use in order to perpetuate bigotry, like the Riley Gaines.
Oh, she's so cult. This is so cult. I'm onto you. I'm sorry. I know exactly what you're fucking doing. I'm onto you. Didn't take very long. It's 4 minutes in and there's still 20 minutes to go.
Incident, Leah Thomas incident. I think a lot of people kind of vaguely know what that's about, but if you do a decent amount of research on that particular example, you will very quickly realize why it's kind of a nothing burger. Like,
no, explain it to me. I don't think it's a nothing burger. I don't think males should be in female sports.
they tied for, I think, 5th place, and there was
Not winning every single race does not mean someone doesn't have an advantage because they're male.
only one trophy at the event. And so the entire thing, like the entire Riley Gaines incident, is literally just—
She still shouldn't have been winning, or they still shouldn't have been winning a women's award when they're male. Like, way to gloss over the entire issue. Amazing.
Them being like, okay, well, we're going to give Leah the trophy. She's going to take this one home that we have right here, and we're going to mail.
Why would they do that? Like, she's just making it sound even worse. Like, why would they do that?
You a 5th place trophy. So like really, like she kind of freaked out over that whole incident over nothing. Like they could have given Riley.
This is actually a bit misogynist. Listen, the woman face stuff, I don't think there's much to it. This actually feels quite misogynist. Like, you want males to just be able to walk into female sports. Like, I'm sorry. How is that not misogynist?
The trophy and mailed one to Leah, and I'm not quite sure Leah would have like been upset about that. But yeah, there are a lot of people who will grab onto these real life examples and they will have a very poor understanding of the situation. But
this person wants allies just like that Alec Gunter. She wants to fill their head. She wants to tell them what to think and then get them to say that. That isn't allyship. That's being a fucking stooge. That's being one of this person's fucking little minions. Why the fuck would you want to do that?
If you have no understanding of the example that they're using, they will continue to push it in your face as like kind of like proof as to why they're right. And you need to be...
Even if you have understanding, they'll still do it. And you're just completely wrong about this. You're just ignoring the fact that this is a born male that shouldn't be in with the females. How much easier do we need to make it for you? One's male, the other's a female. Males have an advantage overall compared to females in most sports. That's it. That's all you need. The rest is just lying. Like, I don't know what happened in your life that you're pretending you're not a male, but you are. Just like me. And that's okay. You can pretty much be what you want. You just can't really change your sex.
Be able to diffuse that. You need to be able to disillusion them about like how effective a talking point they think it is. All right, so
disillusion them about how effective a topic it is. Oh yeah, disillusion them into thinking that, oh yeah, maybe males should just compete with females. Maybe if a male is like seed 50 or whatever, like not really up there with the big boys, he can just fucking transition and call himself a woman and then suddenly be in the top 3 regularly. You know what I mean?
We are going to move on to tip number 2. These are pretty dense tips. I did kind of squish as much information as I could into these 5 tips because I want this video to be as useful as possible. So tip number 2 is to meet people where they are. This is something...
Yeah, Vorsh is awful. Listen, Vorsh just took all the worst parts of Destiny and ran with them. Alec Gunter is like copying that along with everyone else. They all suck.
That I think is really important. I think that being able to meet people where they are will help us bring people along in a positive direction. When we
This might actually sound a bit more promising, to be honest.
Refuse to meet people where they are, we end up sometimes just pushing them further away from a good...
This is true, yeah. Of course.
Direction. We tend to like let people go down really bad paths or really dark roads when we refuse to meet them where...
Okay, what does that mean?
They are and help, you know, bring them into the light, so to speak.
People actually care about this sports thing. It's not a stepping stone issue for the right. Yes, very true. I care about it. I think it's bad that males are in female sports. I think it's optically a fucking nightmare. I think it's very clear that males have an advantage that isn't easily mitigated by HRT. There's studies that show that even after 2 years, there's still like some advantage because there's a lot of different things that go into like why a male is a bit stronger than a woman on average. And yeah, like any parent of some girl in high school that comes second to some fucking male a foot taller than their daughter, they're going to feel a certain way. Any athlete that's lost out, which by the way, what was it when the UN did the report on it, 890 medals? Like this person, when they're talking about sports, they're pretending that the actual issue, that being that some of these people are male, doesn't exist. It's just not there. And that's preposterous. You can't do that. That doesn't make any sense. But maybe this one will be slightly more... Maybe this second tip will be slightly more sane.
So this is like a really broad tip, and there's like a lot of stuff that I could discuss here. So I'm going to try to just give you a couple pointers, and hopefully that'll make like the general idea of what I'm talking about here really clear. So one thing I see happen sometimes, and this is something that I think everyone should be aware of, is that like it's not a good idea to come at someone with information or like to like completely put someone on the spot when you're around a bunch of people, when you're
Yeah, Alec Gunter. Maybe you shouldn't just put people on the spot whenever they disagree with you. Maybe that's not the best way of conversing and showing that you're an ally to trans people. Oh, the Italian woman. Yeah. Yeah, my understanding is Iman Khalif is male and has 5'8" RD.
at like a function or in the middle of a moment. A lot of the times it's better to approach someone like after the heat of the moment or after like people have moved away and you can have...
Oh, after the heat of the moment. Like, oh shit. Finally, it's calmed down. Hey, do you have a moment to talk about the trans things that you got wrong? Like, fuck's sake. I'm undecided on who's freakier, Destiny or Vorse. But I'm leaning towards Vorse. Shit in the taxes folder. Yeah, I mean, Destiny sounds like he's just gay and a bit gross. I don't know. I'm biased because I actually agree with Destiny sometimes. And Vorse just seems like a sophist.
Like a more private conversation with someone. I feel like this one is pretty easy for most people to understand. Like if you're...
Either we have categories based entirely on hormone levels and skeletal structures, or just do trans categories. Yeah, I don't know. Like, the sex split is the only easy way. They're not going to change it. There's no point. Most people probably don't want to change it. I don't know.
Around a bunch of your friends, if someone comes at you and just tells you you're wrong, like, hey, you're wrong, it kind of puts people on the defensive immediately. Like someone might not even have a very strongly held belief about something, but if they receive like immediate and aggressive pushback in front of a whole bunch of people, kind of the general like move for a lot of people is to just get defensive about it and double down.
Maybe I should ask this person to watch my Gunt debate and see if they consider him a good ally.
And triple down, because it's embarrassing in front of a bunch of people to be like, oh yeah, I was just like a huge jerk and I just said something that was bigoted and that was really ignorant of me. Like that's not like, when have you ever heard someone just do that? Like that takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot for someone to be able to like stop themselves in their tracks and reverse course. Another part of this is making sure that you...
This makes more sense than the last point, but the vibes I'm getting, like, it feels like I'm being like indoctrinated into a cult, and this is like the the first stage or something. Like, fucking hell. Listen, if you want to join a cult, then this is great. If you want to be an ally, don't worry about being an ally. Just be people's friends.
You don't assume malicious intent unless it's very clear that that's what it is. Sometimes people who are ignorant do things that are pretty...
We do that constantly, though, over things that aren't even bigoted.
Phobic or bigoted, or they say things that could be really hurtful, and they don't exactly understand how damaging or harmful those beliefs are. Like, for instance,
How is a belief harmful? A belief cannot be harmful. You can act upon a belief in a way that is harmful. A belief is not harmful. Please get it in your heads that it's very difficult for someone to be a bad person based solely on their beliefs and nothing else.
Really quick example is that there are a lot of people who are very ignorant and do not understand that dead naming is a no-no, and you do not want to dead name someone. But I personally, in my own...
Who cares about dead naming?
Life, have had very many people be like, oh,
listen, it's rude to dead name, but we need to stop freaking out about it. We need to stop lecturing people every time they say the slightest thing wrong, because it's not working. And it's part of why fucking Trump is in the fucking White House. Because people are sick of that shit.
You're trans. I have a trans friend who was named blank, dead name, and now they're named blank, chosen name. And they do not understand that...
They're not even there, then who cares, bro? Is that the example you're coming with?
Like, they have just dead named their friend to me, which is completely inappropriate.
I know.
And like, unless their friend has given them like explicit permission to do that, they should not be doing. And even then, even with permission, they should understand how problematic it is to like dead name.
This is the most white people problem shit I've ever heard in my life. Like, could you really not have come up with a better example than this? Who cares? If people talk about me behind my back using my old name, then fine, I guess. I don't know. Should I care about that?
Name someone to a random person, like that's just not a good move. Like that's just not good ally behavior. But if you assume that it's done maliciously, again, it can kind of give someone the idea that like you think they're a bad person, and then it's going to make them feel defensive about it. Like they're going to feel like, I'm not a bad person. I and then they're going to get defensive about it. Also, patience is a big part of this. Like people...
I mean, you could help by not pathologizing people's thoughts and not pathologizing people's like political opinions and stuff.
Are not going to flip immediately. There's inertia.
Oh, hi, Justin. I hope you're good.
with belief. Like people have inertia with their beliefs and they seek to confirm things that they already believe. That's called confirmation bias. Just make sure you check yourself and like.
Yep, which I already know that you engage in because you want people to look at Erin in the morning. Erin in the morning is a fucking liar. Erin Reed is a liar. She's a propagandist.
Your expectations, the impact that you will have on someone is not going to necessarily be immediately noticeable. Sometimes it will be. Sometimes you'll say one thing to someone and they'll already be sort of on the path of understanding and they'll be like, oh, okay, that was crappy. That was ignorant. I shouldn't have said that. Like,
we're still coming from the angle that we're right and other people are wrong and we have to fix people. This is how we get all these trans people that they don't talk to people. They talk at people. Or allies, they do the same thing. I've fucking experienced that many times. Like, they think that they're there to educate people when you're not, you know, you're first off, straight away, you're elevating yourself above other people when you feel that way because you're the one that has to tell other people what to think. People need to stop doing that. Vast majority of gender criticals never dead name because they value and respect names and or they don't know the dead name. Pronouns are obviously very realistic. Yeah, I mean, pronouns are just silly. Like, I don't know. We need to be less sensitive, I think.
Like that, I get that, you know, that's problematic behavior and I will seek to do better. And that's great. And that can happen. But if that doesn't happen, sometimes you're whittling away at the inertia of someone's beliefs. You're kind of slowing down the weight to which they give the beliefs that they have. And eventually they have enough detachment from the beliefs, or you have sort of slowed down their role, you know, essentially enough that they can then pivot and start moving in the other direction. And the last thing on this point is just to find out where people get their info and suggest good sources. Follow, you know, trans content creators online. Hello, me, like subscribe.
No. Be very, very careful. Be very, very careful what kind of trans creators you follow.
Or whatever, like and comment, all that great stuff. Do that, and then you can have sources that you can provide to people. Like if you ask them, hey, where are you getting your information about like trans folk? Like
what? So that if you have an argument about trans sports, you can send someone to this video, and then they can come back and be like, this person is really, really, really wrong about trans sports. Yeah, great idea, bro.
How are you learning about these issues? If their response is like Matt Walsh or Ben Shapiro or someone, you don't want to just be like, I'm calling you out for being an idiot or whatever. You want to just...
Why is Matt Walsh or Ben Shapiro any worse than, say, Erin Reed or Essence of Thought?
Say like, okay, can I also suggest a source for you? Like, can I suggest something that may be a little different or something that's maybe a little outside of the wheel?
That isn't such a problem because if someone says, well, Erin Reed told me this, that, or the other, then I think people should point them to videos I've done, for example, showing how specific articles of hers are complete bullshit. For example, she pointed out 216 errors in the WPATH files. She lists about 12, most of which are wrong or extremely nitpicky, and the rest don't exist. Never been found. No list of these issues exists. She made it up. It's bullshit. It's propaganda.
House that you're used to or whatever. And you may be surprised at how effective providing a good source of information can be to helping someone down a positive path. You know, it may not cause them to flip immediately or anything like that, but you may like help humanize the community to that person. Like you may help them see that like we're just people trying to live our lives. Okay. And
you are not trying to live your life. You are trying to tell people what to think. You can't have it both ways. I'm just trying to live my life, telling everyone what to think. That doesn't work. That doesn't make sense. You can't have it both ways that way. It's just not possible. You have to pick one.
We're going to go ahead and move on to tip number 3, which is to be a visible ally. So the most obvious way to express this is like in person, wear a pin, wear a hat, wear a shirt, wear
some cult fucking symbols.
Something that kind of signals that you are an ally, something that's easy to understand, maybe funny, to like let people know that are around you that you are a safe space and a safe person. It can be really hard.
This sounds like anyone could just put these things on, make people think that they are a safe space, and then take advantage of that. Is no one else hearing this? That's what it sounds like to me.
For people in the community to tell who is safe when they're out in public. And so wearing something that helps...
That is insane. Listen, you don't know who's safe and who isn't. And for that matter, what you consider safe, I don't even fucking understand anyway. Wearing a pin with the fucking trans fucking groomer flag on it does not mean that person is a safe space. They could be trying to make you think that they're a safe space, but they're not actually. Please, please think this through. I beg of you.
Signal that can be a huge sense of relief to someone when they're interacting with you and they realize that you are a safe space. You can probably literally see them relax. The next part of this is...
Yeah, see them relax as the Rehypnol takes effect. Amazing.
to make it known on your social media. And this doesn't have to be really overdone. This doesn't have to be super virtual.
Yes, virtue signal. Draw needless attention to us when we literally are just trying to live our lives. I hate it. I hate it. Why?
Signally. It could be as simple as like putting in your bio on a social media, like the trans and the pride flag, and just saying like ally right after that, you know?
Gross.
So that people understand like, oh, this person's.
To me, that suggests that you're in a cult and you're going to mansplain trans to me when, in actual fact, I am trans, believe it or not, and have been for a really, really long time. I already know my shit. I don't need some fucking nonce with a fucking pride flag in their bio telling me how the world works. I'm sorry. And also, people can do that to take advantage of you. People can do that to mislead you. Sometimes people lie.
An ally to the community, you know.
Didn't a certain group force people to wear pins or identify? Yeah, true. I don't know. It seems more cultoid shit than like weird Nazi shit, but that isn't a huge amount better.
Posting, sharing content from trans content creators. I think sometimes people are afraid.
Yes, such as the Mary Chew. Yeah. Post my shit.
Of pushback. They're afraid of, you know, like their friends that may not be so agreeable, or they're afraid of their family members that may be more judgmental, and they don't want.
What? They don't want to fall out over some issue that's got nothing to do with them, with their friends and family. They don't want to do that. Wow, imagine that. Imagine that. That's why I don't want this kind of thing. I don't care. I don't need people to say, oh, I'm an ally and I'll post trans stuff. You know, like, just don't. Just be yourself. And if you're my friend, be there for me when I need you. And I will do my best to do the same. Yeah. Anyway.
To take the fire for it, but you need to be vocal about it, because if you're not vocal about it, it lets people assume that you are, you know, complacent. Or
you need to be vocal about it. We're entitled to other people to piss off everyone they know, potentially, going on about this trans shit that doesn't even affect them personally. Like the stream, you are not an... No, like the stream if you're not an ally.
Or that you are a part of the bigotry. I hate to say it like this, but
part of the bigotry. Oh, I hate this. This whole, you know, silence is violence or whatever. No. This is like, let's take all the wrong conclusions from why Trump won and make a video out of it. Jesus fucking Christ. People don't want to be told what to do by people that look like you or me anymore. I'm sorry about it. The time has come and gone. I don't know.
Complacent ally, someone who doesn't actually stand up or say anything or do anything, it's not really an ally.
What does standing up and saying things mean? Like posting on your social media? That's called slacktivism, my dude.
Ally. Like, you can think internally, I'm an ally, I have no issue with people in the community, I respect people for who they are, blah, 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 blah. But if you do literally nothing to show that or prove that, or...
You have to prove it now. No, this is toxic. You have to prove that you're an ally. Again, why not prove that you're an ally or you care about trans people by just being there for trans people? Why do we think that people are obliged to do all this shit for us? I don't want any of this. I don't expect any of this from anyone. I don't expect people to change their entire personality and for all their friends to be like, did you have a head injury or something? Because your personality has completely changed. And now all you do is talk about trans issues when you're not even trans. Do you know what I mean? Like, gross.
Or, you know, do anything. If you don't do anything, then you are not actually an ally. Like, you are just thinking you are, but you're not. Like, it's all about the action.
Wait, but if you're trans, all you have to do is call yourself female. How come it works that way for this, but the other way for that, when ally is just a social term and woman actually means something?
It's not just about belief. And then the last part of this tip is basically, if you know someone in your family, or if you have a friend or even a friend of a friend who is a part of the community, make sure they know that you are a safe space. You know, you may think that it's...
That's the same point again, first of all. Second of all, this is still, like, people can take advantage of this easily. You've got someone who's got a bit of a fetish for, like, trans women. Yeah, they're probably going to cover themselves in the fucking iconography so that people flock to them It's ridiculous. It's insane. What are you doing? Have you thought none of this through? Because the thing is, you're supposed to think about things before you say them. And the thing is, if you're stuck on this basic point, then you probably need to like talk it through with someone else before you like write the script or something, so that someone else is kind of moderating you a bit and pointing out a few flaws in your arguments that might need sort of highlighting and how to get around them. But we don't want to progress past the first step. It's like, no, this is how it's like. And then that's it. And that's not how things work. Because you give your opinion or whatever, someone's probably got more questions from that. Someone's probably got other things that they think. It's not really that simple as just do what I say and you're fine. Like, no, I'm sorry.
It's obvious, or that you don't need to, and let you know that like I'm always here for you if you
I muted the wrong thing. Oops.
are a safe space. You know, you may think that it's obvious, or that you don't need to explicitly say something, but it can mean a lot to someone to receive a message saying like, hey, I just wanted to reach out and let you know that like I'm always here for you. If you need a place to go, if you need someone to talk to, if you need anything, I'm here. My door's open to you always. And you know, that can really like give someone a sense of reassurance that like they have a support network and that like they know who they can rely on if they need to rely on someone. Alrighty, we are going to move right along to point.
But probably what you should try and do is be at least somewhat self-sufficient, right?
Number 4, and I think that this one is pretty important. I think this one is something I do not see very often in our community, something that's not talked about enough, and that is to be honest about your own journey, learning and growing. Due to culture and all sorts of things, a lot of people have inherent phobic beliefs that take a long, long time to unlearn. I'm not trying.
Due to culture, many people have inherent bigoted beliefs. Well, that's a sentence I've heard now. Am I having a stroke? Can someone tell me that I'm not having a stroke?
Trying to be dismissive of it. As a matter of fact, I think that being dismissive of it is not talking about the fact that a lot of people have these inherent beliefs and they have to spend time and effort to unlearn them. Like, just to be vulnerable for a second, I used to be...
Do they have to? Oh, just to be vulnerable. I used to be racist and then I stopped being racist. I'm such a good person.
Really repressed. I used to not know that I was trans for a long time, and that led...
You don't know that you're trans. It's a conclusion you come to. You might detransition, and then you didn't know you were trans. So how can you know that you were trans if that's a possibility for anyone?
To me, projecting a lot of like internalized transphobia outwards. That led to me being incredibly ignorant and not seeking information about, you know, the community, about individuals and what they're...
And then people use this kind of thing to paint me as this kind of person. You're like... You're a fucking transphobic ally's fucking wet dream with some of the shit you're saying, bro. How are you not? How? Oh my god. Gross.
Their experience was really like. And so there was a period where I myself was a path towards a more...
Please stop sucking yourself off. You're such a good person now. I agree. Just stop. Just stop.
Or we were just like not so great people. I think it's important to acknowledge that so that in the future, other people can see that like, hey, even this person...
Do you know what I find so toxic about that whole narrative? It's because people say, oh, well, I went through this. Now I need to make everyone else go through this. When often we misapply things like bigotry. Often we mistake bigotry for other things. Often we very deliberately misrepresent other things as being bigoted. So there's huge problems here.
I perceive as like a really good member of the community or a fantastic ally, even this person had a dark time period. They had a period of ignorance or a period of bigotry, and it's okay to move past that. And there is a way to move past that. And lastly, I just want to wrap up this point by saying,
I hope this person is like 19 or something, because that's the only way this makes sense. That they're like literally, well, I don't want to say literally a child because that's not true, but like, you know, young, you know, that's the only way I can like, that's the only way that this works. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Am I not jolly enough today? I don't know. I don't know, but like, wow.
Saying that there are no perfect allies. We are all a work in progress. People are messy, and it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to forgive yourself for your past.
No, you know what? I don't need to watch any more of this. Completely get rid of the concept of trans ally. Trans ally does not exist. Get rid of it. Just burn it down. If everyone that calls themselves an ally seems to deal in rampant misinformation and honestly not even allyship, because half of them are transphobic and literally just want people to agree with them. Like, fuck that shit. Just get rid of it. What you're expecting of people is way too much. And there's this kind of implicit thing where it's like, well, if you're not with us, you're against it. None of it works this way. Most trans people don't want any of the shit that this person is saying. What they want is just to be able to live the same kind of life that, like, other people can. And, like, I was the same for a long time. I no longer do the whole I'm just living my life thing, because I'm not. I'm fucking ranting on the internet all day. But most people don't want this. And it's terrifying that people are going to listen to this and think that they have to do all this shit right now. Based on what? Males being in women's sports? Plenty of us don't want that either. So how are you a trans ally for arguing for males to be in female sports when lots of trans people see this as a fucking optical nightmare, because that's what it is? Maybe people on the left could understand if everyone on the right were petty enough to call them detransphobic and biophobic, but I doubt the right will do that later. I'm surprised they haven't, actually. Do I watch anymore? I don't know. I'm pretty sure that if me and her sat down with some canvas and a load of Posca markers, we would get along just fine and have fun. All this friggin' wording that gets in the way of just drawing. I think I know what you mean. Like, I get on fine with, like, TRA types when, let's say, we're talking about, like, music. Like, I've like, jammed with numerous different trans people. And when certain topics don't come up, I'm fine with people. People have their own problems to handle. Like Ember the other day, she was expecting too much from strangers. Yep, I agree. At the end of the day, basic human decency is all you can really expect from people. And not even that sometimes as well. Like, fuck. I don't expect almost anything from people. I'd rather just be pleasantly surprised. Like, I don't know. I don't want to feel like... I don't want other people to feel like I think they owe me or something. Or that my status as being a fucking trans woman, like, entitles me to anything. I just want to be treated like a normal person. That's all I've wanted my whole life. I'm extremely mentally ill. I haven't had the luxury of being treated like a normal person pretty much any time in my life. And people who, there's every chance that they can live their lives being treated like a normal person. Some of them did seem determined to throw that in the bin and say that's not good enough. It's insane to me. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. Maybe, like, people shouldn't have to be as fucked up as me in order to gain some perspective and understand that being trans is just a way of living your life, and it's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's not oppression. I don't know. I can't watch anymore. This is doing my head in. This is actually doing my head in. How am I mentally ill? I have lots of stuff. Most prominently, I have something called misophonia. Extremely prominently, should I say. I have lots of other stuff. I don't want to go into it too much. It's difficult sharing that part of my life, I guess. But yeah, a lot of stuff. And yeah, like, not just like mental health stuff, but like trauma stuff. It's a lot. But what I don't want to do is like wallow in it. I don't want to feel sorry for myself. I've got a lot of problems, but I got to make it work somehow. And I'm not unhappy in general. There's a lot of stuff that I wish was different, for sure. But what I have in my life is actually good. And and I think that maybe it'll get better, if I work hard. I don't want to like wallow in some perceived depression I have because occasionally someone is mean to me in the street or something. Like because someone shouts like nonce at me from a van. When that person is so fucking tough that they have to shout at me from a moving fucking vehicle that is going away from me. I just don't care about those people. I'm not fucking oppressed because that happens occasionally. People are dicks, and that's why that happens occasionally.